I used to think that I was a good communicator. I could coach, I could teach. Then I'd get home. And if my partner asked me a question at the wrong moment, I could feel myself getting defensive for no reason. Here are 5 communication skills that every man should know, but nobody teaches us. And make sure to stick around for number 5 because that one is literally what saved my relationship. Number 1, stop making up stories. I didn't realize how much I was making stuff up. She got quiet. I would take it as she's mad at me. I did something wrong. She needed some space or alone time. I took it as she doesn't like me. Something's wrong with the relationship. What's going to happen? I would just make up stories. But what's really happening is my brain was just writing and creating these stories before I even sat to ask a single question and get clarity. When you make up stories, the problem is you react from those stories as if they're real. And they're usually, and I mean like 100% of the time, maybe 95, they're not true at all. So now when I get that thought or that feeling that something's off or that I did something wrong, rather than making up stories and reacting from that position, I just stop and I ask her, hey, is this about me or did I do anything that you want to speak up about? Because I just want to make sure everything's all right. Or is something else going on? And most of the time she'll respond and say, oh no, it's nothing to do with you. Honestly, I'm just stressed. I've had a long day at work. I just need a moment to myself to decompress so that I come back in and enjoy ourselves. Perfect. Now I have clarity and truth and I'm not making up stories or leaving the conversation or making her feel bad in any kind of way. I'm not doing any of these, what people would classify as toxic traits. I wouldn't do any of that because I got clarity and I took responsibility of my own emotional state. Okay, number 2, learn to notice before you respond. Now, most men think that emotional regulation just means never getting emotional, never feeling your emotions and pushing everything down. I'm emotionally regulated, I'm good. No, it's not it. It means noticing and feeling. Like if you feel yourself getting defensive, like I know I do often, you'll feel a rush of like intensity and wanting to defend yourself. Sometimes I'm feeling an overwhelming feeling. Like I'm just so overwhelmed with the conversation or what I have on my plate. I'm just like getting anxious. And instead of emotionally regulating like I know I should, I can blow up, I could shut down, or again, I could say something I don't mean. And not because I don't love her, it's because I haven't taken the time to release what's really going on inside and not taking it out on the people I love the most. It's just about noticing before you end up saying something that you might regret later. And that awareness alone literally changes everything because you start to create a choice. When you make this choice, instead of reacting automatically, you get to decide on how you want to respond. And that decision either leads to a big fight or it calms and neutralizes everything. And just a quick note, if that one hit home, I built something specifically for you. It's a free 3-minute assessment called the Conflict Code. Inside, it'll show you your specific pattern response when dealing with hard conversations at home. Whether you shut down, whether you get defensive or disconnect. What's happening is you do it automatically and it's a pattern that you can change. So go ahead, it takes just 3 minutes. I'll put the link in the description below and find your conflict pattern so that you can change it for good. Number 3, repair faster. So what does that look like? You're going to mess up. It happens. You're human. Your partner's going to mess up. That's not the issue. The healthiest couples that I know aren't the ones who never argue. They're the ones that repair quickly and communicate. Saying things like, I'm sorry, I can see how that affected you. I didn't mean to say it that way. I should have handled that differently. That really goes a long way. Rather than sitting in defensiveness, shutting down completely and stonewalling your partner, making it all about you and the need to be right, or just unloading your frustration on her. So rather than doing that, you let it go and you lead first. You lead the conversation and the connection back to where it should be. And accountability isn't easy for boys, but for men, it's a must. We have to lead. Owning and repairing has saved my relationship literally like 697 times, and it saved my clients' relationships even more. Plus a bonus, it shows her that you care and that you're willing to stay and that this relationship is important. And when you don't do that, she can make up stories in her own mind. Number 4, own your side first. One question that completely changed the way I viewed conflict was, what part did I play in this? And that was annoying because I used to think that I was just the victim or that something was happening to me or she was doing everything to hurt me. But that couldn't be farther from the truth. I had a huge part to play and I had to look at that seriously and own my side of the street. Because every time I blamed her, I gave away my opportunity to actually change the situation. And let me tell you this first, ownership is not weakness, it's freedom. And no, ownership is not just about apologizing. It's about perspective. It's seeing the other person's side and what they may have been going through, what they may have been experiencing, what your actions led to their reaction, and take accountability for that. And guess what? The best part is, after you do that, like 96% of the time, they end up owning their side of the street too. And then you both have clarity and connection, and the relationship comes back to peace rather than blowing up unnecessarily. And if they don't come back to connection, or they don't own up their side of the street, well, then I want you to book a call on my calendar. We need to talk deeper about this, because we got to fix that, and we can do that immediately. Number 5, and this is the one that really saved everything, is that communication happens before you even open your mouth. So what does that mean? This is and was my biggest lesson. It's the pressure and the stress that you've been carrying all day long, maybe all year long, maybe all decade long. The stress, the lack of sleep, the exhaustion, the frustration from clients, meetings, people at work, all of that piles up and turns into stress and internal pressure, and you're carrying it every time you walk into the room with your partner. That's why at the end of the day, when you have such little to give, a little question sets you off or shuts you down and creates more conflict, because you're adding in this extra weight of pressure into your relationship. And I spent years trying to communicate better, but what I actually needed was more capacity inside myself. That pressure and that stress is the reason why it's hard to listen, why you get defensive, why you make up stories, because you're carrying so much. It's why miscommunication happens, and it's why the big fights occur. And it's also how you stop them, because when you're running on fumes, everything feels like a threat. Even just the small stuff, the little things, they feel like a personal attack. And things that shouldn't feel hard suddenly are drastic. And the truth is, nobody taught men how to deal with their emotions or deal with pressure, or how to truly communicate and lead in their relationship. We were taught how to work, how to provide, how to show up and grind and hustle hard to make money. Great, but that's only part of the job. That's only 50% of what it takes to be a man in a relationship. Emotional intelligence, emotional regulation, leading conversation, how to communicate without blowing up, getting defensive, shutting down. That's the other 50%, so you can actually be a pillar of true support rather than just providing monetarily. Because honestly, that's the easy thing to do. And in my opinion, and what my clients have seen, is that is a skill that changes everything. It changes how they show up in their business, how they show up for themselves, how they show up for their partnership. If this resonated with you, the first thing I want you to do is make sure you take that conflict code. It takes just 3 minutes, and it's going to show you personally your conflict pattern that arises when conversations get hard at home. The link is in the description. And if you want more conversations like this about relationships, pressure, communication, emotions, and becoming the kind of man that you truly want to be, then I want you to book a call on my calendar so that we can talk what's working, what's not working, and where you would like to actually be in yourself and where you'd like your relationship. The link is below for you to find a time that works for you this week. And make sure to grab your spot quickly, because those spots will fill up. I'll see you next week.